Fossil fuels are going the way of the dodo. It is inevitable that gasoline and diesel-powered vehicles will be phased out in the near future. Today though, a lot of people are still not ready to make that jump to full EV. And for those people, we have these transitory combinations of EV and ICE technologies. The Nissan Kicks would be one of the most unique of these vehicles. It is a hybrid, but not quite. In this video, we're going to do an in-depth review of this very unique vehicle. It sells between 1.2 to 1.5 million pesos. Is it worth your money? Let's find out.
If all goes according to plan, by the mid-2030s, a lot of European countries and some US states will ban the sale of new gasoline and diesel-powered vehicles. As a car enthusiast, I have mixed feelings about this, but I will admit that it is inevitable and a necessary step to saving our environment. One major obstacle to widespread adoption of EVs and hybrids is the cost. With most mainstream electric cars selling above 2.6 million pesos and hybrids selling for 1.6 million. They're outside the range of what a lot of people would consider economically justifiable. Now, we would like to see these prices go down a lot in the next couple of years as the government cuts tariffs on EVs and hybrids. But if you can't wait that long, Nissan has an answer for you. The Nissan Kicks sells between 1.2 to 1.5 billion pesos. Well within what a lot of people would consider attainable. And if you factor in gas savings, it makes a lot of economic sense. The Nissan Kicks though is quite different from all the other EV and hybrid offerings in the market. In this video, we will try to demystify this automotive oddity that is the Nissan Kicks. But first, let's do a walk around. Even though it's a very forward-looking vehicle, the styling of the Kicks doesn't look overly futuristic. If you saw one of these on the road and you didn't know what it was, you wouldn't think that there was anything different about it.
I think the Kicks is a pretty good looking crossover. It kind of looks aggressive and sporty, but I think it also kind of looks mature. So I think it's gonna satisfy a wide range of tastes. You get these large LED headlamps with Kicks badging over here. And I like how the headlamps are integrated into this fender bulge over here. It gives the car a wider and more sporty look. You get the V-Motion grille at the center. And I like how it's not finished in solid chrome. It's finished in gloss black with chrome outlines. So it kind of looks sporty, but with a subtle touch of class. You get a camera over there because this top-of-the-line Kicks VL variant comes with a 360 camera system. The Nissan Kicks is a subcompact crossover. It is shorter than the Honda HR-V, but it is wider. It looks quite sporty from this angle with these 17-inch wheels, these bulging fenders, and these upswept character lines. This top-of-the-line VL variant gets a two-tone color scheme. It gets a blacked-out roof and blacked-out side mirrors. The Nissan Kicks comes with a manual liftgate.
The boot space of the Kicks is deceptively huge. Despite the vehicle's small dimensions, it has 480 liters of cargo space with the seats up and 835 liters with the seats down. It should be noted though that you don't get a flat flooring.
Okay, so like most hybrids, the Nissan Kicks comes with both a gasoline-powered engine and an electric motor. But unlike most hybrids, the gasoline engine is not connected to the wheels. So this is a 1.2-liter 3-cylinder naturally aspirated engine, and its sole purpose in life is to charge the battery. Only the electric motor drives the front wheels. So this produces 132 horsepower and a whopping 280 Newton meters of torque. If you haven't driven an electric vehicle yet, the power is gonna surprise you because 100% of the torque is available as soon as you step on the gas. The Nissan Kicks comes with a 2.13 kilowatt hour battery. Now, to put that into perspective, most EVs come with an 80 to 100 kilowatt hour battery, which is usually good for 300 to 400 kilometers of range. PHEVs like the Tiggo 8 Pro PHEV come with a 19 kilowatt hour battery, which is good for about 100 kilometers of range. Hybrids like the Toyota Corolla Altis Hybrid come with a 1.13 kilowatt hour battery. So the battery of the Kicks has more capacity than most hybrids, but it's still closer to hybrids than it is to EVs and PHEVs. By the way, the battery of the Kicks is located underneath the front seat. As you can see, you have a vent over here, and that is for cooling the battery. Now, this interior looks very similar to the Almera's interior. Like the Almera, you got this leather wrapped panel over here with white stitching. The rest of the dashboard is made of hard plastic though. Like this is made of hard plastic. This is made of hard scratchy plastic over here. But thankfully the touch points are covered in leather. Like this armrest over here is covered in leather. You also get a center armrest, although it's quite narrow. The steering wheel is covered in faux leather, although it's quite firm. The seats are covered in leather as well. And you get manual adjustment for both front seats. Let's turn the car on. Your start stop button is over here. And now the car is on. If you have sufficient charge, you won't hear the engine turning on and you won't hear a starter motor. If you haven't driven an EV before, it might take a bit of getting used to because it feels like the car is still off. Anyway, your instrument cluster is partly digital and half of it is an analog speedometer. So this screen over here shows you if you're using battery power or if your engine is charging the battery. So this is your engine over here. Currently it's turned off. You will know if it's turned on if it's in orange. And this is your battery level. Currently we have 2 bars. It'll also show you if your rear brake lights are on. Over here you have your drive mode button. I'll show you later what that does. You also have your EV mode switch over here. You have an electronic parking brake with auto hold. And this over here is your shifter, which is kind of shaped like a mouse. To put it in drive, just press this button over here and then push it down like so. And to put it in reverse, you do that. To put it in park, just press this button over here. You get 2 pretty big cup holders, which could be a problem if you have small cups. If you have long cups, you can flip this thing over here, so it can fit even a venti-sized Starbucks cup. So on the steering wheel, you have buttons for your infotainment screen, and you also have cruise control. It's just standard cruise control. You don't get adaptive cruise control. You get an 8-inch screen, and although it's not the biggest in the segment, it actually looks pretty good. The pixel density is good, the brightness is good, and thankfully you get physical knobs and buttons. You also get a 360 camera on the VL variant. You get active guidelines. So this comes with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You get single zone climate control, and thankfully you get knobs for adjusting the temperature and the fan speed. In terms of storage, your glove box is quite sizable. Storage underneath the center armrest is pretty limited. And you have some cubbies over here for water bottles. So in terms of space, I am 5'8" and I have I'm guessing that's 4 inches of headroom. By the way, the seat has height adjustment, so if you need more headroom, you can just lower the seat. Okay, so here at the back, I have sufficient space. The front seat is adjusted to my comfortable driving position, which is a bit further back. I have about, I'm guessing that's 4.5 inches of knee room. You get 2 USB-A ports over here, but you don't get rear air vents. You also don't get a center armrest, and you don't get any cup holders. So I have nowhere to put this cup. I'll have to put my cup over here. Headroom is quite decent. I have about 3.5 to 4 inches. The center tunnel is quite high. Okay, so we're now on Skyway. Let's reset the trip meter. Let's see how much fuel we consume. Okay, so I've been driving now for about 30 minutes, and what I noticed is that on the highway at 60 kph and above, the engine is mostly turned on, and I had to put the vehicle in EV mode to force it to use battery power, or to turn the engine off rather. So far I've been averaging 23.9 kpl on this trip. We'll see later if we can get a much better number than that. So I'm not exactly hypermiling, but I'm driving with the intent of saving fuel. So I'm trying to stay below 80 kph, which is the speed limit here anyway. And I have my climate control set to 25 degrees. I'm gonna put it in EV mode. We currently have about 2 bars of fuel left, and let's see how long it takes before the engine turns on. EV mode on.
The Kicks has a 2.13 kilowatt-hour battery, which will not give you a lot of range in pure EV mode, especially when you're on the highway. With a battery half charged, I was able to drive for 1 minute and 25 seconds before the engine turned on again. It is enough though to drastically improve your fuel economy, although not by much on the highway.
The engine just turned on to charge the battery.
The things that you do in an ICE vehicle to save fuel, like coasting downhill, that doesn't quite work on the Kicks. The regenerative braking of the Kicks is pretty strong, and as soon as you take your foot off the gas, it slows down a lot. If you have to step on the gas to accelerate again, it's not really gonna save you a lot of fuel. So unless it's a very steep downhill road, or you need to slow down quickly, I wouldn't recommend taking your foot off the gas. Maximizing fuel economy is about learning how to modulate the force applied by your right foot.
Okay, so we're now in Canlupang, Laguna. So far my average fuel consumption is 24.1 kpl. So on the highway it is a bit better than most ICE vehicles, but in the city, that's where the difference is more pronounced. Okay, so we're currently crawling in traffic, and would you believe it, I'm doing 23 kpl.
In the city, because you don't require as much power, the engine can stay off for much longer periods of time. You can travel a significant portion of EDSA without using fuel. I got an average of 22.5 kpl over almost an hour of driving through EDSA traffic, and my fuel gauge barely moved. That is significantly better than any ICE vehicle that you can buy right now. On regular cars, you have to make a choice between fuel economy and performance. Fuel-efficient cars are usually slow, and fast cars are usually very thirsty. That's not the case with the Kicks.
It is very fuel efficient, but if you need to accelerate quickly, it does have quite a bit of kick to it. Torque is almost instantaneous. When you step on the gas, it just goes right away. There's no waiting for the power band, there's no waiting for the transmission to shift, it just responds. The suspension of the Kicks is a bit on the stiff side. It's actually very stiff compared to a lot of its competitors, and you can feel a lot of the road imperfections. I wouldn't exactly call it uncomfortable, but yeah, definitely stiffer than a lot of its competitors. But the good thing about having stiff suspension is that the Kicks is actually pretty fun to drive. Body roll is very minimal for a crossover. The steering ratio is relatively quick. Okay, so it is Wednesday, 5 p.m. and the last digit of this car's plate number is 6. So coding tayo ngayon, and we're gonna do a bit of an experiment, and I'm gonna risk my driver's license for this. We're gonna drive this car in rush hour traffic, and let's see if we'll get stopped by an officer. Aside from saving fuel and saving the environment, there's also another advantage to driving an EV or a hybrid in the Philippines. They're exempt from the number coding scheme.
Now, there's always the risk of running into an officer who's not aware of the new law, so I did prepare screenshots of news articles on my phone in case I'd have to argue my case. Now, fortunately, or unfortunately, not a single officer stopped me during this trip. Now, I'm not sure if that's because they didn't notice me, but I was so prepared for the argument that I was half hoping that they would stop me. Anyway, the law is clear that EVs and hybrids that could drive under their own power are exempt from the number coding scheme. The Nissan Kicks starts at 1.2 million pesos. The top-of-the-line VL variant sells for 1.5. It undercuts all hybrids in terms of price, but beats most of them in terms of performance and fuel economy. The Nissan Kicks is a pretty good half step into the future. A future where we are no longer dependent on fossil fuels for energy. As a car enthusiast, it's sad to imagine that one day we'd have to say goodbye to the internal combustion engine. But it is necessary, not just for us, but for our kids, our grandkids, and their grandkids. Vehicles like this are the gateway into that cleaner future for them. This is Jaywalkur. Thanks for watching.